What is going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be doing a follow-up to the video I did last week on the new 2018 MacBook Pros and the pricing on those, but today we're going to be focusing on performance, and this is also meant to just kind of be a PSA for anyone else that is out there in the market, possibly for one of the new MacBook Pros that's running the i9 processor from Intel. But first, today's video is brought to you by GVGmall.com, where you could save money on video games for all of your favorite platforms, as well as software like Windows 10 Pro, which you can get over there now for just $15. And if you use my code JPGVG10 at checkout, you can save yourself an additional 10% on software. And if you use the code JPGVG3, you can save yourself 3% off of any games that you pick up over there. Be sure to check out the link in the description below. So as I said, we're going to be talking about some thermal performance on the new MacBook Pros that I think everyone needs to be aware of. But just to be upfront, all of the information that we're going to be going over here is courtesy of a fellow tech YouTuber by the name of Dave Lee, who sits at over 1 million subscribers, and he really does specialize in laptop reviews. I've seen his laptop reviews over the past couple of years, and he's really at the top of the game when it comes to just pretty much looking at laptops and notebooks and things of the like. So he's definitely a trusted resource in terms of laptop reviews. So, of course, he didn't waste any time getting one of the new MacBook Pro 15 inches for all of his studio work, editing videos and all that, running Premiere Pro. Obviously, as someone like him, if he's editing on Final Cut Pro, having a good mobile solution for that is going to be essential, and the new MacBook Pros are kind of targeting that. If you were running on the previous ones, you were stuck with quad cores, and now they finally brought in some high-end parts which are definitely geared towards the enthusiast users and people that are going to be using these for everyday productivity to run their businesses and their lives. So the i9 is really geared right towards that, and you would hope that the i9 could perform at least on par with, I don't know, the MacBook from a few years ago, but apparently it does not. So Dave Lee ran some tests on Premiere Pro doing some renders, and the results were astonishing, where the 2018 MacBook Pro with an i9 6-core were actually taking longer to render out videos than a 27-inch MacBook Pro using a quad-core i7, actually taking 4 minutes longer here if we look at this graph, where they're running a 5K 4K H.264 file render on Premiere Pro, which is a very intensive operation to be doing. You need a lot of compute power for that. And you can see it took 39 minutes and 37 seconds on the new one with 2 extra cores and 2 extra threads versus the previous version with an i7, which took just 35 minutes and 22 seconds. And when I saw this, I was just like, wow, that's really bad that it's slower than the older MacBook Pro. But then I was drawn to the third number on here for the Gigabyte Aero 15X laptop, which only took 7 minutes. I mean, I thought the MacBook Pros were supposed to be amazing at rendering out video and things like that, but look at Premiere Pro. It is just running awful on the MacBook Pros, running way better on a Windows laptop, which took only 7 minutes to render this thing out compared to 35 minutes on the 27 MacBook Pro and 39 minutes on the 2018 MacBook Pro. So why is this happening? Why is this laptop running slower on the newer version compared to the previous version? Well, what Dave discovered was that it was thermal throttling. So the new MacBook Pros are in no way capable of cooling down the 6-core i9 processors inside of its chassis, and just a couple of seconds after going into a render in Premiere Pro, it started throttling immediately. Throttling so bad, in fact, that it couldn't even maintain its base clock of 2.9 gigahertz. This thing is advertising a boost of over 4 gigahertz, and it can't even stay at the base of 2.9 gigahertz. I've honestly never seen cooling performance that bad in a laptop. Don't get me wrong, Windows laptops can get very hot as well, and I've even seen some really thick, chunky ones, like some of the really big, thick Clevo ones, those having their Intel processors getting up over 90 degrees Celsius, but I never saw one of them clock down below their base clock. So what he did next was he actually took the 15-inch MacBook Pro with the i9, and he stuck it in his refrigerator in the kitchen to see if that would make any difference, and it certainly did, as it shaved off a lot of time. We're talking about going from 39 minutes, 37 seconds all the way down to 27 minutes and 18 seconds. So we're talking a little bit more than 12 minutes was saved by putting it into a cooler environment, which should really tell you that the main culprit here is heat. It's not that the CPU itself is just inherently slower compared to the i7. It's not that it's unoptimized in some way to work specifically with Premiere Pro, because the only variable being introduced here was by taking the laptop and sticking it into a freezer where it ran a hell of a lot cooler and it got a lot better performance as a result of that. So I don't know how Apple is in good faith trying to sell these new MacBook Pros with the i9s, knowing that this is the type of performance that people can expect, and it's actually running slower than the last year's version. Like, come on, Apple. Like, seriously, like, I know you like screwing over your consumers. I know you like just making buckets and buckets of cash, but you should, at the very least, operate within the spec of the laptop itself and be able to do what it does. I mean, you're already upcharging people through the nose to be able to buy this hardware, and then you've got awful customer service to follow that up with. And you do all that, and then you still can't even cool the damn thing down without having to... I mean, they would have to make a bigger chassis. It would have to be thicker, which one of the biggest reasons people go for MacBook Pros is because they're slim, they're lightweight, they have good battery power, they want the Mac OS, things along those lines. And especially if someone's going for an i9, they're going to want to be taking advantage of the 6 cores and the 12 threads. That's why you get the i9. Otherwise, you would just get the i7 version. But you want that extra computation power, so you go for it, and you can't even friggin' use it because Apple hasn't been bothered enough to cool the damn thing. So please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you do want a link over to the original source, of course, that'll be down in the description over to Dave Lee and his video on the new MacBook Pro 15, which is the source of all the information we got here today. So be sure to go ahead and check that out, and I will catch you guys next time. Ta-ra.